Once again, you're hearing the music that is being piped aboard the Soyouz descent module. This music of choice for Johnny Kim, Sergei Ryzhikov, the Soyouz commander, and Alexei Zabritsky, music of their choice to help them relax in the final hour of the countdown. Here in Mission Control in Houston, Flight Director Anthony Varia has polled his team of flight controllers. They are go for launch. That has been relayed to the Russian flight controllers at the Russian Mission Control Center in Korolyov, outside of Moscow. Assuming all goes as planned, the Soyouz spacecraft with Kim, Ryzhikov, and Zabritsky aboard will move into a precise path with a series of engine firings to increase its altitude to match that of the International Space Station, with an automated rendezvous and docking planned to the Prishal module, which is attached to the multi-purpose laboratory module on the Earth-facing side of the Russian segment of the International Space Station. That docking is scheduled at around 4:04 a.m. Central Time, 5:04 a.m. Eastern Time, to complete a two-orbit rendezvous to the International Outpost. Once the docking occurs, there will be a brief period of opportunity for the relative motion between the two spacecraft, the Soyouz and the station, to dampen out against one another at the docking interface before the forward docking probe on the Soyouz retracts to basically pull the two docking interfaces flush against one another, allowing hooks to close on both sides of the docking interface. Leak checks will then get underway, leading to a hatch opening that is scheduled in the neighborhood of about 6:20 a.m. Central Time, 7:20 a.m. Eastern Time, enabling Kim, Ryzhikov, and Zabritsky to float aboard the station that will be their home until December.
Commander and flight engineer, you can monitor them.
And now, courtesy of Roscosmos, we're seeing the video B-roll from earlier this morning. The first order of business to traditional farewell music. The crew departed the Cosmonaut Hotel, boarding a bus for a 35-minute ride to the integration and suit-up facility at Building 254 inside the Baikonur Cosmodrome. You see the prime crew of Kim, Ryzhikov, and Zabritsky. NASA astronaut Chris Williams has served as the backup to Johnny Kim. He will be launching in November on the Soyouz MS-28 spacecraft. Kim and Zabritsky flanking Ryzhikov, about to embark on their first flight into space. This is Ryzhikov's third flight into space, 358 days of spaceflight under his belt. Again, you're watching a video B-roll from several hours ago as the crew departed the parking lot outside the Cosmonaut Hotel crew quarters en route for a 35-minute ride into the Baikonur Cosmodrome. Here you now see, after the crew arrived at the integration building, each crew member underwent final medical exams, suiting up in those Sokol launch and entry suits one by one. As you see, the crew members moved into a mock-up of a Soyouz spacecraft seat, allowing technicians to conduct pressure checks, ensuring that their suits were airtight and free of any leaks. As you'll see in a minute, the crew was separated from a fairly large throng of well-wishers and the media through a protective pane of glass to maintain their quarantine as the RSC Energia technicians conducted the leak checks on their Sokol launch and entry suits.
Did you get on what? In the vehicle. Yeah, once suit checks are out. Remember when Mr. Soyouz his suit got really tight?
Once again, this is video B-roll from several hours ago. The crew having completed their medical checks and suited up in their Sokol launch and entry suits. One by one, undergoing leak checks to their suits to ensure that they're airtight before departing the integration building for the ride out to Launch Pad 6, Site 31, and their subsequent climbing on board the Soyouz booster. A good view of Johnny Kim preparing for his first flight into space. While we watch this video B-roll, the countdown is now approaching the T-minus 25.5-minute mark until liftoff. All systems remain in great shape on the Soyouz booster and the Soyouz MS-27 spacecraft.
He's got a pressure gauge on his wrist, so he's watching the pressure.
With those leak checks having been completed, you'll see in a moment family members and invited guests looking on across that protective pane of glass, maintaining quarantine. This suit-up procedure now completed, and that occurred a little over 5 hours prior to launch. As you can hear, Ryzhikov and Zabritsky there exchanging final remarks with senior NASA and Roscosmos managers. Johnny Kim did as well. This was a final opportunity to receive a status on vehicle preparations and final expressions of good luck before they departed for the launch pad.
Say that one more time. I'll try.
What do you think in space on the first day?
I'm going to look at the Earth. I'm going to think of you guys. And I'm going to try and give you a pause.
You make me some tacos in space.
There's Chris Williams next to Sergei Kud-Sverchkov. That was the backup crew for Kim Ryzhikov and Zabritsky. Part of the entourage of invited guests, and there you see Roscosmos officials. The new head of Roscosmos.
Thank you for sticking to the quarantine. It was wonderful to speak with you. And Alexei, for you especially, best of luck on your first flight. Jonathan, all the best to you. It was wonderful to meet you. All the best. We are cheering for you. We look forward to having you back on the ground. May you complete the program in full and return back safely. Everything is going per plan. We are moving per the timeline. Everything is going smoothly. I want to wish you a good flight and all the best of luck. Thank you, sir. Please send our best to the crew that is on board. They are standing by, waiting for you. May you have a good handover, a good, smooth launch.
And I know the crew on orbit is ready to meet you.
Station's ready. We're excited to have you guys on board. Ground teams are ready. Flight crew is ready. I'm looking forward to your docking shortly.
Thank you, Ken.
Sergei, Alexei, Jonathan, all the best to you. May you have a successful launch, a smooth flight, and a great docking. All the best.
And you see there Ken Bowersox, NASA's Associate Administrator for Space Operations, Dana Weigel, the ISS Program Manager, part of the NASA delegation there in Baikonur. As tradition called for, the crew members then left the 254 integration building, allowing Ryzhikov, the Soyouz commander there in the middle, to report that he and his crewmates were ready to proceed to the launch pad.
We are ready to perform the full flight plan. Wonderful. We are glad that you're ready.
And as you can see, a few final waves to the gathered guests. The crew then boarding their bus for the ride to launch site 31. This occurred about 3.5 hours ago. That trip from the Building 254 integration facility to the launch pad took a little less than an hour to complete across that sprawling and desolate launch complex. The gathering of all of these well-wishers contributing to the wow factor for these launches. Kim there, as you see through the window of the bus, Zabritsky alongside of him, waving goodbye to the crowd as they began to exit the parking lot en route to launch pad 6, site 31, where they then boarded their rocket, as you'll see here in a moment or two. And here is the crew's bus arriving at the launch pad. You'll see the crew escorted to the stairs of the pad, climbing a few stairs and waving goodbye to well-wishers before entering the elevator for the ride to the top of the Soyouz rocket, boarding their spacecraft, which they have now been aboard for the past 2 hours. Once again, final opportunity for the 3 crew members to wave goodbye to the well-wishers at the launch pad before climbing those few stairs, riding the elevator up to the entrance level and the hatchway to the Soyouz descent module to be helped into their respective seats. Sergei Ryzhikov, the Soyouz commander, in the center seat of the Soyouz, flanked to his left by Zabritsky, who is board engineer number 1, and to Ryzhikov's right is Johnny Kim of NASA, board engineer number 2. Back now live with a view of the Soyouz 2.1A booster, the countdown approaching the T-minus 17-minute mark. The International Space Station is flying from southwest to northeast across the Atlantic at the moment, about to cross the west coast of Africa. At the time of launch, the station will be flying 260 miles over northwest Uzbekistan. The station will be about 400 miles behind Soyouz and will pass directly over the Baikonur Cosmodrome 1 minute after Soyouz lifts off. It then will leapfrog past the Soyouz as Ryzhikov, Zabritsky, and Kim climb to their preliminary orbit. 8 minutes and 46 seconds after launch, the third stage engine of the Soyouz booster will shut down. The Soyouz will separate from its launch vehicle and deploy its solar rays and navigational antennas. At that point, the 3 Soyouz crew members will trail the station by 1,008 miles, and the chase will begin, resulting in docking to the Prishal node module on the Earth-facing side of the station's Russian segment at around 4:04 a.m. Central Time, 5:04 a.m. Eastern Time. The music that you're hearing once again being piped into the descent module for the pleasure of the 3 crew members on board. This is traditional, the crew picking a variety of its own music so that it can have an opportunity to relax in the final hour of the countdown.
Готовность к пуску 10 минут, первый. Готовность к пуску 10 минут, принял 20-й. Готовность к пуску 10 минут, принял 30-й. Готовность к пуску 10 минут, принял 50-й. Готовность к пуску 10 минут, принял 60-й. Готовность к пуску 10 минут, принял 70-й. Принята готовность к пуску 10 минут, первый.
About 10 minutes readiness.
Готовность 10 минут.
We copy 10 minutes readiness.
American boys, American toys, American boys for always die. American boys, we're yellow star boys, we're yellow star boys, we're from the sky. American boys, we're yellow star boys, American boys.
The The countdown has now reached the T-minus 14-minute, 20-second mark at the launch site on the steppe of Kazakhstan. NASA officials on hand to watch the beginning of the journey for Johnny Kim, Sergei Ryzhikov, and Alexei Zabritsky. Leading that NASA delegation on hand for the launch today is Ken Bowersox, who you saw a moment ago in the video B-roll, NASA's Associate Administrator for Space Operations, Johnson Space Center Acting Director Steve Kerner, ISS Program Manager Dana Weigel, Kjell Lindgren, the Deputy Director of Flight Operations here at the Johnson Space Center, and NASA's Chief Astronaut Joe Acaba. And with them is NASA Public Affairs Officer Shaniqua Vereen, who filed this report a short time ago.
Thanks, Rob. I'm here at the Baikonur Cosmodrome. The morning is clear and crisp as we await the launch of Soyouz MS-27. I'm currently positioned about 2 miles from Launch Pad 31, where the Soyouz rocket stands poised and ready for liftoff. The weather is ideal with a temperature of about 62 degrees Fahrenheit and a gentle breeze between 5 and 10 miles per hour. The past week has been quite eventful as we prepared for this moment. Our journey kicked off on Friday afternoon when we arrived in Baikonur, escaping the snow back in Moscow. Early Saturday morning, the Soyouz MS-27 was rolled out to the pad, setting the stage for the rocket's upright position in anticipation of launch. This mission will carry NASA astronaut Johnny Kim, along with his Roscosmos crewmates Sergei Ryzhikov and Alexei Zabritsky, to the International Space Station. During yesterday's press conference, Johnny outlined his objectives for the mission, highlighting the significance of the research and experiments he plans to conduct. He expressed particular enthusiasm for cancer drug research, hoping that these findings will continue to aid in the fight against various forms of the disease on Earth. In a heartfelt moment at the press conference, Johnny also shared insights into the crew's zero-G indicator. He mentioned that it was a little angel and that Soyouz Commander Sergei Ryzhikov gave each of them one to bring to their spouses, something for them to see and think of while we're away. For now, Rob, we're stationed at the viewing site, ready for launch. Johnny is supported here by his family, friends, and NASA colleagues, all eager to cheer him on as he embarks on this journey. We'll hand it back to you in Houston as the final countdown continues toward liftoff.
Thank you, Shaniqua. That countdown now has reached the T-minus 11-minute mark. We're about 4 minutes away from the point at which the launch key will be inserted in the launch bunker into the mechanism that basically triggers the launch sequence into automatic mode. As mentioned earlier, after liftoff, the vehicle will arc out to the northeast from the Baikonur Cosmodrome into an orbit inclined 51.6 degrees to either side of the equator. 1 minute 58 seconds after launch, we will see first stage separation on the Soyouz 2.1A booster, followed about 2.5 minutes after that by second stage shutdown and separation. The third stage engine on the booster will fire for an additional 4 minutes, heading uphill toward the preliminary orbit for the Soyouz MS-27 spacecraft. Third stage shutdown scheduled at the 8-minute 46-second mark, followed 4 seconds later by third stage separation, and then the automated pre-programmed commands will begin the deployment of the Soyuz's solar arrays and navigational antennas.
33. Повары, гермошлема закрыта, КСС в режиме готовности. Повары, я 16-3 вас понял, КСС в режиме готовности.
Visor should be now closed.
Повары, включена видеокамера номер 2.
We're approaching the T-minus 9-minute mark in the countdown. Everything is in great shape. The Soyuz fully fueled for launch. There have been no issues being worked throughout the course of the past several hours by the engineers at the blockhouse in Baikonur. And as mentioned earlier, the Soyuz will be placed in a trajectory for a 2-orbit rendezvous. This has become customary for crewed missions on Soyuz vehicles to the station. An expedited journey of just over 3 hours from the launch pad. In this case, the docking scheduled at around 4:04 a.m. Central Time, 5:04 a.m. Eastern Time to the Prishal module on the Earth-facing side of the Russian segment of the International Space Station. Coming up on the T-minus 8-minute mark in the countdown. Mark 8 minutes until launch.
Вот исчезла дрожь в руках. Теперь наверх. Ну вот сорвался в пропасть страх. Навек, навек. Для остановки нет причин. Иду, летят, и в мире нет таких вершин. Минутная готовность, первый. Минутную готовность принял, 20-й. Минутную готовность принял, 30-й. Минутную готовность принял, 60-й. Минутную готовность принял, 60-й.
T-minus 7 minutes, 15 seconds and counting. We're coming up on the point at which the launch key will be inserted in the launch bunker.
Есть провести сброс объекта 60-й. Готовность принял на вызовом 70-й. Такой 70-й принял, первый.
Favor, we have readiness. Please report your status. Everything nominal on board.
Голубым сиянием льдов.
The call sign that Ryzhikov has selected, as he did for his previous mission as a Soyuz commander, is Favore. Each crew has their own call sign for Soyuz vehicles from launch to docking and then from undocking through landing. So you'll hear those call signs being expressed by the flight controllers at the Russian Mission Control Center in Korolyov, as well as from the blockhouse in Baikonur for the final 6 minutes of this countdown. And the key has now been inserted in the launch bunker. The automated sequence now underway for the final 6 minutes of the countdown.
А день, какой был день тогда? Ах, да, среда.
Inside 5.5 minutes until launch. Launch control reporting that the range is clear. The Soyuz rocket ready to begin its journey. Inside 5 minutes. The temperature in Baikonur around 60 degrees Fahrenheit, clear skies, awaiting the liftoff of the Soyuz MS-27 and the next trio of residents to take up occupancy aboard the International Space Station. Coming up on the 4-minute mark in the count. Onboard systems now have been switched to onboard control. And the crew members are closing their helmets, their visors on their helmets, putting them on suit oxygen for the remainder of the countdown.
Baikonur launch.
T-minus 4 minutes and counting.
What is the status of the atmosphere? No clouds.
The fuel lines and the other elements of the rocket engines now being purged with nitrogen that fireproofs them by removing vapors of fuel and oxidizer from the base of the 2.1A booster. Once again, the launch precisely timed for the moment when the Earth's rotation places the cosmodrome in the planar corridor of the orbit of the space station, inclined 51.6 degrees to either side of the equator. A narrow phase angle for this launch of just 14.6 degrees to facilitate the two-orbit fast-track rendezvous. Coming up on the 2-minute, 30-second mark.
We see the commander and flight engineer. One.
The booster tank now being pressurized for flight, optimizing the flow of fuel, helping to add structural support for the rocket on the pad.
Есть взлом снабжен системой измерения. Готовность 1, готовность взлом на 70-й. Доклады принял, первый.
T-minus 1 minute 40 seconds. The ground propellant feed has been terminated. Coming up on the 1 minute mark. Soyouz about to go on internal power. T-minus 1 minute and counting. About 20 seconds away from the first umbilical retracting from the side of the booster.
Vehicle 2.
Есть переход блока 3-й ступени на бортовое питание. Есть отрыв самого блока 3-й ступени. Есть отрыв холодный прием марководных блока 70-й.
There's the retraction of the first umbilical.
Есть мачта 30-й.
Standing by for the second umbilical to retract and initiate engine sequence start. Auto sequence initiated, standing by for engine start. We have main engine start.
Launch command issued for ignition.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Engine ignition and liftoff. Liftoff of Soyouz MS-27. Kim, Ryzhikov, and Zabritsky begin a sprint for a marathon mission on the International Space Station. Good thrust. Soyouz arcing out to the northeast. Good roll, pitch, and yaw program reported.
Thrusters operating nominally.
All first stage engines operating normally according to the engineers at the blockhouse in Baikonur. 40 seconds into the flight.
Стабилизация изделия устойчивая.
The vehicle parameters are all reported to be stable.
Stable at 40 seconds. Everything nominal on board.
1 minute into the flight, the International Space Station flying directly over the Baikonur Cosmodrome. The Soyouz booster passing through the area of maximum dynamic pressure.
The crew is feeling good.
All vehicle systems reported to be normal.
Параметры системы управления ракетой-носителя в норме.
90 seconds into the flight. First stage performance nominal.
Everything nominal on board. Copy.
About 15 seconds away from first stage separation.
0848, everything nominal on board.
Standing by for first stage separation.
Roll speed beyond nominal.
First stage separation reported. The symmetrical departure of the strap-on boosters. Second stage up and running.
First stage separation.
Vehicle parameters all are normal according to the engineers at the blockhouse in Baikonur. 2.5 minutes into the flight. "36 miles in altitude, 75 miles downrange from the Baikonur Cosmodrome.
Thrusters operating.
Second stage engines all operating normally.
Copy.
The launch shroud has now been jettisoned as planned. The second stage shutdown will come at the 4-minute, 37-second mark into the flight. Launch occurring on time at 12:47 and 15 seconds a.m. Central Time, 10:47 and 15 seconds a.m. Baikonur time. This view now from a camera on the upper stage of the Soyouz booster. 3 minutes, 20 seconds into the flight, all vehicle parameters continue to operate as planned.
Thrusters operating nominally. And everything nominal on board. The crew is feeling good.
Good control of the vehicle. Five minutes of powered flight remaining.
Nominal flight. Everything nominal on board.
4 minutes into the flight. All vehicle systems reported to be in great shape.
Second stage.
About 25 seconds to go until second stage shutdown.
Nominal on board. The crew is feeling good.
Rizhikov reports the crew is feeling good.
10 seconds to second stage separation. Copy.
We're standing by for second stage shutdown and separation.
Nominal. Copy.
Third stage oxidizer tank has been pressurized.
Second stage separation confirmed. Everything nominal on board. The crew is feeling good.
That was the third stage lower skirt that was jettisoned as planned. The Soyouz now flying on the power of its third stage engine with about 3.5 minutes of powered flight remaining. All systems continue to operate in excellent fashion.
Third stage engine operation nominal. Copy, and everything nominal on board.
Strapped into their seats in the center section of the Soyouz MS-27, Sergei Ryzhikov, the Soyouz commander, in the center seat, flanked to his left by Alexei Zabritsky, and Johnny Kim of NASA, flanked to Ryzhikov's right.
Roll, pitch, yaw, nominal.
Roll, pitch, and yaw, all reported to be in good shape.
Nominal on board.
A pre-programmed set of maneuvers for the Soyouz 2.1A booster, coming up on the 6.5-minute mark into the flight. 2 minutes and 20 seconds of powered flight remaining. This third stage engine provides 67,000 pounds of thrust for its 4 minutes of operation to place the Soyouz spacecraft into its preliminary orbit.
Vehicle is
coming up on the 7-minute mark in the flight. Mark 7 minutes. All vehicle parameters continue to operate as planned.
Двигатель третьей ступени работает нормально.
Third stage. Thruster operating nominally. Copy. The crew is feeling good. Everything nominal on board.
Nothing but good reports coming from the Soyouz back to the flight controllers, not only in Baikonur, but there at the Russian Mission Control Center outside of Moscow. 7 minutes, 45 seconds into the flight, 1 minute of powered flight remaining.
Двигатель третьей ступени работает нормально.
Third stage. Engine operating nominally. Separation expected in 30 seconds.
Minutes, 22 seconds into the flight. About 30 seconds of powered flight remaining.
Nominal flight.
A smooth ride uphill so far for Kim, Ryzhikov, and Zabritsky.
And Favore, you may expect...
Standing by for third stage shutdown and spacecraft separation. And we have third stage shutdown. Third stage shutdown, spacecraft separation confirmed.
Favore, how do you read us? This is Moscow. We read.
And we have confirmation of solar array deploy and navigational antenna deploy as planned. Johnny Kim, Sergei Ryzhikov, Alexei Zabritsky on their way to the International Space Station.
Принято Favore, отключаем двигатель 2, закрываем РПВ-1, 2 и потом приступаем к контролю ТС. РПВ-1, 2, закрыть. Принято.
It is complete. Copy.
Контроль ТС штатно. Выполняем запуск разового контроля КГ.
Принято, ожидаем дозвонения.
Checkout was nominal. Copy.
Favore, командир может приступать к работе с телевидением.
Favore, you may start working for page 36.
Вас понял, разовый контроль запущен, работа с телевидением.
We started the checkout. TV is on.
Фавор, ожидаем от вас первый замер по АКГ.
So, after a flawless countdown, an uneventful ride uphill for 8 minutes and 46 seconds for Johnny Kim of NASA and Roscosmos cosmonauts Sergei Ryzhikov and Alexei Zubritsky. Third stage shutdown and spacecraft separation came right on time at the 8-minute 46-second mark into the flight, followed seconds later by solar array deploy and the unfurling of the navigational antennas that will guide the Soyouz to what is expected to be an automated docking to the Prishal module on the Earth-facing side of the Russian segment of the International Space Station at about 4:04 a.m. Central Time, 5:04 a.m. Eastern Time.
Indicator mode. Reduce power.
Принято. Фавор, перейдите на input 2 на формат ТВС.
Favor, please go to input 2 panel.
And this view, which is the same view as the crew is seeing on board the descent module, showing the display panel that Ryzhikov, Kim, and Zubritsky are looking at. You see in the box on the left-hand side, this is basically the same overlaid video that you'll be seeing in more granular detail a few hours from now when we come back for our rendezvous and docking coverage.
Выполнил переход.
Transition complete.
Фавор,
команду
R18.
Send Romeo 18 command. Go to the backup transmitter. Copy and work.
Подготовил, выдаем.
Принято.
Ready. Command to send. Copy.
With the ascent having been completed, placing Kim, Zubritsky, and Ryzhikov into their preliminary orbit, next up will be the first in a series of delta velocity burns that is scheduled about 21 minutes from now. This will be a burn of about 24 meters per second to begin to increase the Soyuz's altitude to match that of the International Space Station. At about 1:42 a.m. Central Time, we will move into what are called automated rendezvous operations. The Soyuz will be guided through a series of pre-programmed commands until it reaches the neighborhood of the International Space Station, at which point the Core's automated rendezvous system will guide the Soyuz in for a fly-around of the station that will precisely align the forward docking probe with the Prishal module on the Earth-facing side of the station. Once the fly-around is complete, the Soyuz will stop its motion, put the brakes on, if you will, for a few moments to allow the Russian flight controllers there in Korolyov to measure the alignment of the Soyuz with Prishal before the command will be given for final approach that will result in the docking of Soyuz to Prishal at about 4:04 a.m. Central Time, a little over 3 hours from now.
Moscow. We cannot copy you.
Фавор, ответите.
Favors, Moscow.
Фавор, ответите по Москве, мы вас не слышим.
Favors, Moscow. We cannot copy you.
So to recap, after a flawless countdown, the Soyuz MS-27 atop the Soyuz 2.1A booster lifted off on time at 12:47 and 15 seconds a.m. Central Time, 1:47 and 15 seconds a.m. Eastern Time.
Build a local vertical copy. Just give us parameter 17 from Form 3, page 37.
With the Soyuz having been successfully placed into its preliminary orbit, the crew will begin a series of vehicle checkouts before the pre-programmed firings of the Soyuz engine will bring the Soyuz to its docking to the station a little over 3 hours from now. We will be back on the air with our rendezvous and docking coverage at 3:15 a.m. Central Time, 4:15 a.m. Eastern Time. Docking scheduled at approximately 4:04 a.m. Central, 5:04 a.m. Eastern Time to bring Kim, Ryzhikov, and Zabriskie to their new home in space. We'll take a break after docking, and then we'll be back on the air later this morning with our third broadcast in the overnight hours of hatch opening. That will begin at 6 a.m. Central Time, 6 a.m. Central Time, for a hatch opening at approximately 6:20 a.m. Eastern Time. So we'll see you back for those broadcasts as we move along through the course of the night. Once again, a perfect ride to orbit for Johnny Kim of NASA and Roscosmos cosmonauts Sergei Ryzhikov and Alexei Zabriskie. They are on their way on a 2-orbit rendezvous to reach the International Space Station. We'll see you back here a little over 2 hours from now at 3:15 a.m. Central Time with rendezvous and docking coverage. For now, this is Mission Control Houston.
Allah! Ra, kasilat na oh. Ay, sigadulog dako na kayo. Ra. Oy. Oy. Oy, luko. Picture na, picture. Sino luko to? Pusdak, alain akong diri mo pusdak. Luko kay. Hindi lang magluko ka. Amo lang na. Taas yun. Una niyo, taas nito.
Hala. Hala.
Ano naman eh? Ayan. Nauna na naman ako sa alarm ko magising.
Ready ka, Bong?
Oo. Sinilas mo na. Okay, wow. Thanks, Mom.
但是呢，今天的金融股像是华南金、兆丰金是呈现走阳的情况哦，而且兆丰金呢是大涨了4%，股价来到。
好许多人种，好许多人种。台股现在已经开始开盘了，我们上来跟大家关心目前大盘的最新趋势。
对，标准普尔指数呢是有收黑的一个情况，再加上台积电 ADR 呢本来开始重挫是超过8.5%，但是后来呢收盘的时候呢是有微幅的收敛，所以从这一点我们可以看到，今天呢估计呢绿色呢还是目前高关税的部分呢，目前对于相对半导体、晶片等等呢目前没有提出来的，所以呢再加上呢半导体晶片就算要高增效也会比较小。再来呢，就是芝加哥的 VIX 的恐慌指数呢，在4月4号已经来到45，在昨天呢已经来到了50，也就是说超过40以上呢，已经接近股市的低点，也就是熊市的低点。所以呢，
Tracy.
That's a fence line for a baseball park, and the water's almost over it. I'd say probably another 2 feet. That's the school right here that you go past to get to my house. And then right in front of it is Riverside Drive, or Kellogg. I've seen cars underwater. I've seen houses underwater. It's just crazy. There's the park that I was seeing in the videos earlier. Right there's the water line. The parking lot right here. These are the swings. And right there's the basketball court on the other side of the playground. This is behind the rec center. Right there is a swimming pool behind the rec center.